Hello, is that Oveyota?
Good day, Prof.
Hi, yeah. Can you, let me just turn this up a little bit. Can you hear me
Yeah, I
now?
can. Yeah, I
Great.
can. Yeah.
Uh, you might, do you hear anything in the background that's distracting?
Just a little bit, a little background noise.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's just because both my wife and I work on the top floor of our house, and she's on a call right now in the other side, but she'll probably be off not too long. So, anyways, I just want to make sure you can hear me clearly, and that's good.
Okay, Prof. Okay.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we're not going to start. Did you got the note about me not being able because I've got a bit of a flu, so
Yeah.
good.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
No, no problem. Uh, but that's what we can do now with the global classroom and education today. We can just have a class anywhere, anytime, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, okay, let me just check and see uh, who else students will be joining. And I'm going to, yeah, okay, so we'll keep it that way, the top of you. Good. Good. Yes, good morning, Rem. Thank you. Yeah. Well, actually, I did want to come today, but I thought it wouldn't be very responsible for me. Um, I'm 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 okay. I love being in the classroom, but it wouldn't be good for the students. And so, anyways, I'll get well soon for sure. I will be well because I will be talking with all of you and helping all of you. So uh, we'll start. Officially we'll start at 11:10. So. Um, I'm going to mute my microphone now. I just need to prepare a few notes. But if you want to talk to me between now and then, just go in the live chat, okay? I'll watch the live chat. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to try and speak a little bit here, and I'm hoping everybody can hear me clearly, but my voice is almost gone. At any rate, it's great that you're all jumping into the class now, and I just want to say hi and also do a little connection test with everybody just to make sure everything is working. Um, you've entered at least today in a more um, less developed um, class, but normally you're going to be, when you come in person to the global classroom, you're going to be in a pretty sophisticated technical space. And you know, I take technology seriously, as a lot of you do. So I want to make sure the tech is working right now. First, I know Ove, Oveata. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Raman. Sarah, it's great that you're streaming your lovely face. And how's your microphone working? Can you jump on your mic?
Yeah, how's this going?
Yeah, good,
Good.
great. Okay. Um, you may hear some noise in the background. It's just my wife on the other side of the floor here in our house in High Park in Toronto. She'll be going in and out on calls herself. Um, so if it's distracting, I'll try to find a microphone. But you can hear me clearly, right, Sarah? You can just give me a thumbs up and yeah, good. Okay, um, great. So let's see who is on board right now, who's joining. People are jumping on board, and they will be, I'm sure, over the next half an hour or so. Um, we'll we'll try to have a normal class, but it probably will be on the shorter side today, just because of my voice, and um, also because I don't have everything with me. I'm not in the great global classroom, but we can definitely start with the content, and we can talk about what the course is going to be, the overview of the course, and most importantly, you may have questions as well. And I want you all to feel after today that you know what you've chosen as an elective. There are many very good electives at the college. Um, and so it may be that after today's class, you may decide that this is not for you, and there's still time to take another elective. But we can at least look at some of the critical um, parts of the class and and also talk about some big ideas before we start next week. And I'll be back in the global classroom when we really begin the story of humanity, telling it chronologically. So it's going to be quite the ride, quite an adventure, I think, for all of you. And so before I kind of walk you through a few things, um, is there anything that you would like to ask at this point? Feel free to put it in the live chat or jump on your microphone. And even better, if you feel you would like to, it's great to see you. Um, and but we'll take it slowly. Okay, so let me just, I'm going to check something here while you think if you have any questions. If not, I'll be ready to move on. Okay, so give it a little thought. If there's anything, good question. Is it Ramiyan or how do you, is it, I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. Ramayan or Ramiyan? Ramyan? How do I pronounce your name properly? Okay, good, Rami. All right. Good question, and I can talk at length about that. But and I'm going to. So I'm going to address Rami's question um, immediately. But before I do, I just want to do a tiny bit of housekeeping, so you know some basics about what's happening today. Okay, and then I'm going to go straight to Rami's question. First, the global classroom that you have entered into for short history of the world is a unique and dynamic space that I've created with the college. And essentially, when I do a class, I am actually doing it to three different audiences, if you will. There's the live class, which is now the synchronous class, and this is done on our video conferencing system that you've entered into, Toria, which is a Canadian system that we are building, and it has military-grade encryption technology that ensures high privacy. And that's something that I take quite seriously in terms of ensuring that when students join online, they can, have this kind of privacy if they wish. However, there's another dimension here that not so private, but we can talk about that. So first, there's the there's the live class right now, and normally there would be a group of in-person students with me in the classroom, and they would be the ones I'm really interacting with. And then all of you who are online right now synchronously would be also part of that too. But the class is being recorded too for all the students who are watching recordings. There are 109 students enrolled in this course, by the way. So there are a lot who are just watching the recordings too. So in order to get a maximum high def 1080p great recordings, I use YouTube Studio to do that. And that means that the class is also being live streamed on YouTube. So you can go right now to the YouTube link that I put in the live chat. Just I can scroll. Let me put it for you here, okay? And you can see us live on YouTube right now. And if you're not comfortable with that, there's the YouTube link. Oops. Oh, there's a lot of new messages. Okay, there's the YouTube link. If you're not comfortable being in a class that is live on YouTube, which is pretty unique in the world in education, what we're doing, we stream live out of a classroom generally, okay? So it's pretty exciting. But if you don't like that or you don't want to be part of this, please let me know in an email, and maybe this is not the class that you would like to take. But definitely we're always streaming live on YouTube, and we get great recordings, and it just opens up the classroom. We've globalized the classroom at Durham College. So that's, Rami, that's a very important thing to keep in mind. And are you okay with that, Rami, in terms of how I describe the space that you've entered into, the learning space so far? Great. Okay. The other thing too to keep in mind is that I don't just teach short history of the world. I actually teach the human story, past, present, and future. The global leader class, short history of the world, humanity's destiny. So I'm all about teaching the human story to humanity, to all of humanity, and giving all of humanity, all people on Earth, access to high quality education. That's why it's important to be on YouTube, and for people to be able to jump into our classes if they like, but they don't have access to all of the resources and marking and assessment that the paid students do, like you do, Rami. But the idea is that when you enter the global classroom, you really feel that you are entering this new multimedia, forward-looking educational space. Okay, so it's something I've worked hard on over the last 11, 12 years to build, and we're getting quite a bit of attention now for this. And finally, I would just say we're going to be presenting this new format at the World Expo in Osaka, Japan in 2025, which will be a big deal. So you're part of something special in terms of how education is being delivered. Thanks, John. But it's very much, thank you, Chloe. It's because the students are asking for this. You guys want something better in education, and I'm very committed to this. And well, great, Nico's with us, and Nico knows because he's been in another class of mine as well. So, okay, so just want you to be really clear on this space. And today is I'm at home, but that's only because of my condition. But next week, if you want, you can always come in person, but you don't have to. You have options. Okay, very clear. Students have emailed me wondering they thought this class was online only, and now they see it's in person, but it may be they didn't read the whole announcement that I made. You can come any way you like, any week, however you like, as long as we get your brain, okay? As long as we get your brain, then we can have a great class. All right, so I want to answer Rami's question. And well, here we go. We're going to start to talk about some content. I would like to show you briefly a documentary a little bit later that's going to help you, Rami, to understand something about the class this semester. But essentially, you are getting a new kind of perspective on history. It's the human story. It's world history told planet-wide in terms of how the human race, we, humanity, developed, how we created civilization, what civilizations have had power, what haven't, how they came, how they fell. And essentially, I will be telling the story, Rami, from the beginning. And when I say the beginning, I mean the Big Bang. I'm talking about how it all begins, you know. And the reason, Rami, we need to tell this story today is because you may not realize the significance of how the world has become a planet. This has only happened in the last 60 or 70 years that human beings have understood that we live on a planet, a shared planet, and we have evidence for that. These from the space missions, the Apollo missions in the 1960s and 70s that began to photograph the planet for the first time. So Rami, humanity is beginning to open itself to a much bigger story that goes beyond the story of, you know, the world wars in the 20th century, you know, or the Industrial Revolution, or you go back to, you know, the ancient Greeks and Romans and the great Islamic empires, or Persians or Chinese, or Africa, you know, Chinese, and going right back to the Sumerians. When we generally tell the story of world history, Rami, it often is just, we go kind of prehistory, you know, then ancient history, which is Greco-Roman, and then we kind of look at the fall of the Roman Empire, and then, you know, we look at the so-called Dark Ages or Middle Ages, and then we look at the Renaissance and the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, the coming of the modern world. That's the old way. That's a very, you know, the new way is you look at it in a broader perspective so that you can understand that human beings have grown out of nature. We have to understand what's been happening on the planet, on planet Earth. We are part of planet Earth. But Rami, you and I and all the others joining the class today have an enormous responsibility we now have. We are changing nature. We are the first humans in 10,000 years of civilization who are changing the climate. We're changing the human body. We're creating modes of artificial life. Our machines are becoming more powerful than we ever imagined. We have weapons of mass destruction that can blow everything up. That's called omnicide. So there's a bigger story, Rami, here. It's a planet-wide story of the human race. Now, I want to make sure that's not too much for you to handle, Rami. Probably isn't, but do you get it? Do you get a sense of where we're going with this? And if it's possible, please jump on your microphone so we can speed this up, because going back and forth in live chat, it's okay, but you know, it just slows things down. Rami, I need to know your answer, okay? Did you hear that? Okay, good. Excellent. So I think that the way to continue right now, because there's so much we can discuss, is I first want to establish what we're going to do today, okay, in this class, so it doesn't run all over the place. And first, I want to make sure that you understand what this class is and what you can expect from it, so that you feel clear when you leave today's class what you've gotten yourself into in terms of opening your minds and blowing your minds. The second thing is I want to give you a chance, to tell me what you're expecting. And normally I would do an activity in person with all of you, but maybe we can just do this in the live chat and through video and audio. But this is all about expectations today. Okay, what should you expect from the course? So let me just see who else is in the class right now. And great, there's lots. Well, you know what? Since Sarah is the brave one, Sarah is the brave one, the only one who we can see and hear, I'm going to let Sarah ask or talk, or unless you don't want to, Sarah, is there anything that you would like to say at this point about expectations? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess when I picked the class, I was expecting it to be like what you said, the old way of like just like a short span of essentially Western history.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm actually really excited about this. I think this is wonderful. I'd love to take a look at the broader picture of this. I'm very excited.
Excellent. Well, Sarah, I'm going to actually show, there's a link I put in the live chat for a documentary, a short documentary called Earthrise, that I would like all of you to watch a little bit later, that will help you to understand why this planetary perspective is so important. But again, we're living in the time, Sarah, you and your children, grandchildren, and others coming after you, who will always have to deal with the fact that the world has become a planet. So when we say a short history of the world, or we say world history, we have to talk about the world and the planet too. And it's not just about humans. It's not just about the West or the rise of the West, as you know. I mean, India, China, Africa, South America, all of the great indigenous and tribal cultures have had such a role too. So, humanity's growing. We're getting our horizons are expanding, and we're beginning to understand more about our place on planet Earth. But there's a story to tell about the human story on planet Earth, and how all of that has reached the point, Sarah, where humans are changing so much. How did that happen? It's like,
yeah.
The dinosaurs were here for 150 million years, and we've only been anatomically human for 200,000, and we're already going to Mars. So it's an amazing story when you start to pull yourself back and start to think more like an astronaut and think about the human story. So I think this is making sense for you, Sarah, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think also, like, these days people are becoming more and more aware of themselves in a global perspective as well, right? Like we're global citizens and stuff, and I think that's becoming more and more common. And so rather than having such a narrow idea of where we came from, it's good to have the perspective, the wider perspective. I like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that it's going to help you develop your critical thinking and your creativity. It might even make you more optimistic about the world when you begin to see that humans actually, early on in our development, we withstood an ice age. We almost became extinct. And through our ingenuity and our resilience, and our cruelty, by killing so many animals, all the big animals. It's called the megafaunal extinction. We became the so-called masters of the planet. But in a way, Sarah, when you take that bigger view, you might start to see that human beings are capable of solving very difficult problems if they come together, and I say that knowing how dark the world can look today. When you go onto social media, you look at the news, you look at what's happening around you, it can be very depressing, but actually it doesn't have to be. When you take the bigger view, you can start to say, wow, humans, we get through a lot. So great. Okay. I see Nico is asking, are we going to have all those talks in the class again? Nico, of course. So let me, by way of answering Nico's question in the live chat, show you all something. And hold on a second. I have this. I'm going to share. I'm going to share something with you. So bear with me because I'm just. Okay. Here we go. Good. So. Great. So, Sarah, can you just tell me what you see right now in front of you?
It looks like a Vimea webpage, I guess. With
good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So you're looking, everyone, at the Vimeo page for the global. Oops. Let me come back. I don't want to record. That is the Vimeo page for the Global Classroom. We have a YouTube channel as well, as you know, and we're streaming there. But you can see that Nico, asked about are we going to have the great discussions in the class again? And he was in part of, I think he was in Humanities Destiny last semester. But that's our classroom is, if I can just sort of blow this up a little bit, and actually, I'll take you to, yesterday's or Wednesday's Humanities Destiny class. Or here's Global Leader on Wednesday. I'm just going to show you this for a second. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Okay. And now you see, and I'll just kill the audio so I can talk about this. That you should now, Sarah, be seeing me standing at a podium in the Global Classroom, correct? Let's see. Oops. Sorry. I think hold on. Yeah. So I just want to make sure you're seeing what you're supposed to be seeing. So Sarah, do you see me at the podium? It's a video of a class.
Yeah, I see the video. You're leading up the class.
Great. Okay, good. So let me just show you. So that's the Global Classroom at the college that you will be coming to in person. And when Nico asks, are we going to have the great conversations or whatever, he was sitting, here's my arrow. You can see Nico was sitting here last semester and in Humanities Destiny. And essentially, we have these really great in-person conversations on the couches and with here comes Ryan. He said, around all the things that I show on the big board, the $500,000 video board that we have. So, I've just jumped ahead on the video for a little bit so you can see, that video board is where I can show, the International Space Station, the live view from the space station. We do notes together on the smart board that are then shared as a PDF. And actually, we had a guest in this class from northern Pakistan. There he is, Ashfaq. And he was giving notes to, let me just show you how the notes work. Here's our activity that we did. See, it's highly interactive. Everybody, has a chance to really communicate. And then the notes are done over here. And those are the same notes that you see displayed on the big board. Usually those notes are done by a student, and I could show you that as well. But this is the space, general, about, the room can handle about 100 people, but there tends to be about a group of 25 or 30 who come, and we sit on the couches and around the couches, and I do my lectures that way. But it's a very interactive, discussion-based class in that sense. So let me just come back for a second and see. So I guess because, is there anyone else who could show their camera just so I can interact a little bit with others and not put all the pressure on Sarah? Let's just see for a second.
I can turn my mic on, but for some reason my camera doesn't want to turn on.
Oh, good, John. Great. Okay. So you don't all have to. No pressure. Thanks, Chloe. It's Chloe and John. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Okay. That way I can and also talk to you as well. John, do you get a sense of what kind of space this is, how the class is going to go, and what the global classroom is, or are you feeling confused?
No, I think I've got it.
Okay, good. And if you have any questions, please, don't hesitate to just jump on your microphone. Chloe, I know you've asked. Yeah, it's nice and big screen. Exactly. So the idea, guys, is that we spent a lot of time at the college trying to create a new kind of learning space that is a post-pandemic, kind of. It really shows that we understood how to get technology really working, and that meant that a big video wall making you feel like you're coming into a bit of a theater. So it's a bit of a lounge, it's a bit of a theater. The way everything is presented is high definition. We sit around the big board and we make notes, and then it's all being live streamed on YouTube, and recordings are available, so that it really feels like learning has been stepped up for young people, and you're being given a chance to bring all the technology into the classroom that's going to help. But ultimately, Chloe, the real heart and soul of this is going to be the interaction live that we have together. And everybody who joins online, they're there, and they can come in on the big board and they look great. But most people these days, when they come online, Chloe, they really don't want to show their camera. They really don't want to be that involved. They want to listen, and they want to. And so I made the decision with the college that we can't be doing Zoom stuff anymore. The Zoom is an extra thing, but we've got to create a sense of liveness that is still available online for everybody. So I highly encourage you to come to the live classes, but if you can't, you'll still enjoy them, joining them this, online, and you'll have the recordings. Okay, so lots of options. How does that sound, Chloe? Good? Yeah? Okay. Great. Let me think. I actually think, given that my voice is, a little bit of an issue today. Oh, good. Yeah, I see Rami was there for AI conference. Let's take a break. And before we talk about how you're going to be assessed this semester in terms of assignments and how all of that's going to work, why don't we watch a bit of this wonderful documentary together, okay? That will help you to understand why the world has become a planet, and how and why it's so important that we begin to think in a more planet-wide way. And so I'd like you to, well, I'll put it back here for you now. I'll just take the link for you now. here is the documentary. It's called Earthrise. And would you please keep yourselves muted, click on that, and just spend about 10, say 15 minutes with it. You're going to see the interview done in the late 1960s with the 3 astronauts who were part of the first mission to space that gave humanity its first photograph of the planet. It's the moment when humans realized that they really are living on one finite blue marble planet. 3 human beings saw that, and they actually broadcast that live from space on Christmas morning in 1968, 6 months before Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. And this moment, when humans witnessed the planet whole for the first time, is a psychologically critical, almost a turning point in our consciousness. And I'd like you to watch how these 3 astronauts, the first humans to see this, describe this. Go ahead and click on this, and then we'll come back and discuss a little bit more about this idea of what's called the overview effect. That's what happened to them. The overview effect is what they got. Please go ahead, okay? Okay, I'm back because I think you get the picture. So you can stop the video, and in your mind's eye, John, you had some technical difficulties. Okay, we'll I don't know what to say at this point. I want to keep moving, but it might be that it was something more at your end. Can you? Great, excellent. Okay, you can watch it later. Okay, good. So let's just talk about this a little bit because there's something here that you really need to understand about why I've shown you this now in the first class. And I want to make sure that this is some critical takeaway for you today, okay? If there were notes being made on the smartboard, you know, we'd be writing these things for you right now. But so why don't I ask you, what do you think is the takeaway here for a course about short history of the world that is just starting? Why would your professor show you this now? Go ahead and try to answer that. And you can put it in the live chat if that's most comfortable, or you can jump on your microphone, or Sarah, you feel free to jump in again, however you'd like. But let's make sure we understand what the takeaway is. Okay, go ahead. So what do you think? Let's see what comes in on the chat. Your brains are working right now. I'm assuming that's why the chat is it's warming up. Okay. Oh, great. Okay, go. Oh, is it Oveata?
Yeah, Ovayota.
Oveata. Go. Great. Go ahead, Oveata.
My takeaway from the documentary was basically about preserving the earth, because in the documentary, one of the astronauts made mention of the craters in the moon and how it gave him a poignant expression of how the earth could have been many years ago, and if we don't strive to preserve it, it could return to that state.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's not what I'm thinking completely, but that works. I mean, it works because it's sort of a dimension of what I'm about to say in terms of takeaway. Preservation of the earth, the specialness of the earth, Oveata, something like that. Preservation. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's very good. Good observation. And Oveata, when I talk about this semester helping you to think more like astronauts, that short history of the world will not only give you an understanding of the human story, it's also going to help you to think more like astronauts. That's what I'm trying to say, is helping you to see the planet like that, so you can start to think about humans and history in terms of the whole planet, and you might start to understand about how special our story is and how unique it is, you know, and how important the planet is, that we save it and we save humanity because it's all we have, you know. So the preservation is a very good point, Oveata.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, John, go ahead.
So like I said, I didn't get a chance to like really watch it, but I feel like another one of the takeaways, as you mentioned earlier, Lon, is that like it's just kind of like an evolution of what we as humans have been able to do since we were, you know, descended from Homo sapiens millennia ago, you know?
Yep, absolutely. And John, I can add to that by saying something that a student had brought up in his final assignment a semester or two ago that I thought was very wise. He said actually two things. He said, I have come to learn the importance of what it means to be human in this course. I really have come. And secondly, he said, I now see that history is not really just competition between empires, you know, rise and fall. It's evolution. It's the evolution of the human being, and through these, you know, wars and and adventures and exploration and discoveries. We are evolving. But to say that, world history is all just about, well, the Egyptians, came and they went, and then, now we see Europe forming, and then the British Empire creates, and the rise and fall of empires is fascinating, and it will be very much part of this course. But it doesn't do justice to the bigger idea of evolution. And so I think that the student who observed that in the paper was really bang on, saying history that you're telling, Lon, is not just about the competition between civilizations and empires. It is about ultimately the evolution of humanity. And that is absolutely true. Okay, so I hope that in this course, at the end, you will start to understand something about what is progress and where are we going. Where am I going in my life as a human? What's happening to us? Not just about what's going to happen in the United States, or are the terrorists going to win, or is China going to become the dominant? That's political. There's bigger things going on here about the human race and about the human being. And that's what I think you're going to learn about, John. Make sense? Good. Okay. I'll assume it did. I can't see John's. Okay, good. It's the problem with, we get going. Good, Chloe. But you'll see in the live classes, when we're really in that circle around the couches, it's supercharged. It's great. It's all in real time. And I can see your faces and you can see mine. You can really have a good conversation. Okay, so who else wants to tell us what you think the takeaway is? Yes, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I think, look, coming over the moon and everything's all bleak and black and everything in space, and then they see it's a speck of color. It's so tiny in the grand scheme of things, but all that we hold dear is here on this planet, and it's the same thing for everybody. We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same planet. It's like it's there. I really got a sense of, even though we're so tiny in space, and when we're down here, it feels like all of our personal things are so big and important, but in the grand theme of things,
No, it's good
it's
that we're
much smaller than we
here's
think.
the thing.
But we're all
I'm
here
going
in the
for
same
broadcast that was
situation. We're literally in the same boat.
not really.
And then that raises, Sarah, the great question that we're dealing with in the 21st century, which is complexity, the complexity of the converged, connected global civilization, where everything happens to everybody. Every war now is a world war practically, because everybody's getting information about everything on social media. So it's so complex. How do we deal with this? But yeah, we're all part of this. What are we going to do together now? It's and this is your generation, Sarah, and those who come after you, that have to get so smart, about dealing with the complexity of connected human technological civilization. It's really, we've got to grow up. We need almost like a psychological revolution, and we will talk about all these things, but in terms of the empires, the great free thinkers, religious prophets, discoveries in science and technology, and of course Charles Darwin, Alfred Russel Wallace, the two great evolutionary biologists, helped us to understand evolution. Ashoka, wonderful Indian emperor, Shuangdi in China, and all the Roman and Greek powerful figures. They're all going to be here, coming and going on our story. But ultimately, the bigger story is, what's been happening to the human being on planet Earth over these millennia. Where are we going? That's the question. Okay. Good. Well, let's take now. Let's say that we'll end the class earlier today, just because my voice is a little, rough, and also, it's the first class, and you don't have to go too intense right now. But let's take 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll conclude. In these next 10 or 15 minutes, could you please tell me a little bit more what you're expecting to come out with from this class, apart from, I know, a good grade, but what do you really want to learn here? And because you're going to get a lot of opportunity to reflect in this class about what we do. All your assignments will be reflections. There's no exams, no tests. You're all writing, or you're making videos where you're thinking about what we were, exploring together. So the general knowledge of history and facts about how we got here, absolutely, for sure, Rami, the general knowledge. And Rami, you understand now that this is going back to not just, the early human civilizations, but it's going back to, how life developed, how humans formed. It's understanding, what humans are made of. We're made of the stuff, deoxyribonucleic acid, and all the kinds of particles that have come out of natural evolution. So we need to understand those things. But there's a big clash, Rami, in the story. There's science and what science tells us, and there's religion, because religions tell us something kind of different about how humans evolved. But science is giving us now the facts. But if you're religious, you may have some trouble with what is said. And I want you to know, for all of you who are religious, in no way do I minimize or diminish religion in this course. Quite the opposite. The two greatest forces in the story of the human being on planet Earth are our invention of science and technology and our invention of religion. You may have trouble thinking that religion is an invention. You may think that your religion is the only religion that matters. I'm sorry, there are many other religions that matter to many other people, and we have to understand those two. Okay, so religion and science, that clash between the two is very much part of the course. The Big Bang, you got it. Sarah, if we can see the grand trajectory that we've come from, it will help us to see the kind of grand, oh, lovely. Sarah, could you read that out loud for everybody? Go ahead. That's nice.
If we can see the grand trajectory that we've come from, it will help us to see the kind of grand trajectories we could project ourselves onto, especially if we have the ability to steer it to some degree.
Sarah, that's very wise. Charles Darwin, who gave us, the first understanding of evolution, he said himself something similar, Sarah. He said that if we now can see that human beings have evolved from lower forms of life, from other primates and previous forms of life, it means that we can evolve to higher forms. From no less than Charles Darwin, Sarah. So you're on the right track. Yep, Nico, the evolution and making of Earth, and then how humans rose from Earth. How because we didn't rise on Venus or Mars or Uranus. It only happened on Earth, and as far as we know, nothing like this has ever happened anywhere else in the solar system or the universe, so far as we know. So the evolution of the making of the Earth, Nico, really helps to understand how we got made, what we're made of. Chloe, do I believe one day humans? Well, Chloe, here's the answer. We already are. What do you think about that? Chloe, I would ask you, try putting your phone away for a day. Try putting the machine away from you for a day and watch what happens to you. You are maybe a kind of early cyborg. What do you think about that? Does that scare you? Yeah, it does. Scares me too. Yeah, we will, Nico. We're gonna, Nico, exoplanets and what's out there, beyond our solar system was more about humanity's destiny, the future. This is all about where do we come from? Okay, humanity's destiny was where are we going? But we can touch on space exploration, but that's very much more humanity's destiny. Another course. The big three questions I deal with in what I teach out of the global classroom is who are we as humans? And that's global leader. Where do we come from? That's short history of the world. Where are we going? That's humanity's destiny. That's what I teach, the three big basic philosophical questions about human beings and the human story. And that's what short history of the world is. Where do we come from? Yes. Good, Sarah. Okay, I'm going to make a suggestion too, that there are a lot of students that are here, but that I'm not hearing from in any way in the live chat, and there's a few students who are really involved, and that's great. I think probably it's better if we end the class earlier, and hopefully those students that I haven't heard from at all or in any way, that they definitely are there, that they're not just thumbnails that have been posted, but they're real people there. Please think about what this class is, and if there's anything you would like to say, you're welcome to email me. All of that is on DC Connect. This recording will be available for you very shortly, and maybe you want to watch it again just to check if there's any information you need to sort of understand more. But next week we will be in person. And Sarah, do you think I'll be seeing you in person next week?
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Excellent. Good. Chloe, you think you'll be coming in person? Okay. All right. The recording, Atib, will be on DC Connect. Of course, I hope to see you all in person. Nico, I know I'm going to see you in person, right? For sure. Oh, good, John.
Probably just hope the weather's good.
Yeah, and don't worry, if it isn't and you get stuck in the bus, you can join the class on the bus. I've had students do that. So let me see if I have anything else that yeah, and actually, Atib, here's how it will work on DC Connect. So this is really important, and everybody needs to listen up. I use the announcements page on DC Connect for everything, but I also use the content page, but I direct you to the content page from the announcement. So Atib, essentially after every class, a few hours after every class, you will see an announcement that says recording of, today's class. And then in that announcement, you will see the YouTube thumbnail of the class. You can watch the class there, but you will also see written in that announcement, it will say, there are resources and also the class recording is available on the content page in the class folder, the folder. And that will be the format for every class we have. And that means that if you miss a class, it will always be there in the announcements and in the content page. I'm assuming that when there's an announcement made on DC Connect, you get an alert. Do you, Atib? Because that's important. Good, Maverick. Yeah, it's very philosophical, this course. It has to be. We're talking about our existence, Atib, when an announcement is made on DC Connect, do you receive an alert that tells you there's an announcement for you on DC Connect that you need to check? Good. So make sure you respond to those alerts. In other words, when there's an alert and I've made an announcement, I'm assuming you're going to go and check the announcement at some point, and then you will see there everything. Okay? Good. Good, Oviata. Good. So there's a few of you I can expect to see. The more, the better. You'll get to meet each other. I'll give you lots of chance to interact with each other, but most importantly, we're going to have just a great, I will lecture, but inside the conversation. So it's not going to be me standing and lecturing. It's going to be me having a conversation, but then I'll stop and then I'll lecture on a particular point that I think you need to know. I'll go make a note or two or whatever. So it's much more driven by the conversation, but I have a plan for where I want that conversation to go. I will be guiding it. Okay. And if there are debates and, there will be things that you, with your own ideas, will be bringing to the conversation that can educate other students. I'm not the only educator here. Okay. I'm maybe the more experienced one, but a lot of you have knowledge, like Sarah, obviously, and you can help others too. So it's a very interactive, shared space. Okay. So let's see. We probably can conclude in a minute or two, unless you have any questions, anything you want to say. I'll make sure I save the live chat. So in the content folder on the content page, you will see the saved live chat and links. You'll see the class recording. On the announcements page, you'll see the class recording. You have it all there. Okay.
Hope you feel better, Lon.
Thanks, Nico.
Yeah, feel better.
Yeah, I'd love to come, even if I'm feeling not so well. It's more I don't want to spread things around. So if I'm good enough, I'll be there next week for sure. Okay. So thanks everybody, and enjoy, and just remember, a bigger perspective gives you more optimism. And as it has been said once, the larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder. Just remember that. The larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder. I love that line. Anyways, see you next week, everybody. Take care, okay?
Bye.
Bye-bye.